Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to HOPS Virtual Workshop number 17 on the launch of the Raildays app. Do be sure to say hello in the comments. Let us know what organisation you are viewing from, and we'll say hello to you. We'll give everyone a few minutes to join before we start at around about 7 o'clock. Yes, we've got a theme tune. Welcome everybody to HOPS Virtual Workshop number 17 on the launch of the Raildays app. It's here at long last. Hashtag love your railway. Do say hello in the comments, let us know what organisation you're from. We'll say hello to you, and you can be recorded as being here on the very first day that the Raildays app launched. The future of visiting heritage railways is in our hands tonight, ladies and gentlemen. You wouldn't believe the amount of research that went into the music. I hope you like it. Yes, Alistair, write the theme tune, sing the theme tune, I did it all. Hello Tom from Etchillswood. Phil McIver from PNP, hello, how are you? Will you be pleased to know the music has ended? It's time to start the show. Good evening, Alexander. About 1 second before we were booked to start, Alexander said we need some uplifting music. Little did he know that I had it prepared. Good evening, Alistair from Bressingham. Alistair's very keen on the Raildays app to the extent that as a thank you to HOPS for producing the Raildays app, anybody who's got a HOPS ID card can visit Bressingham for free this year. So well done. Thank you very much to Bressingham Steam and Gardens in Diss in Norfolk for that lovely gesture in response to HOPS producing the Raildays app. So thank you very much. Right, this workshop is going to be slightly different from the normal HOPS workshops, and it's not going to last as long either. It's going to, I don't really have a long sort of script prepared. I have got some questions that were asked of me during the week, which I have already answered to the people who asked them, of course, but I'm going to answer them again so that you can all get the benefit of them. I'm going to talk about timetables a little bit because that's been causing a little bit of confusion. And then it's over to you to raise any difficult questions that you want to ask about how Raildays works, how you can put data in it, and what benefit you can get out of it. So please do ask questions in the comments, don't be afraid, and I'll do my best to answer them. I've got completely new sound equipment here, as you've probably guessed, so do let me know if the volume needs to be turned up or down or anything else, and I'll do my best to accommodate. Right, so I'm not going to go through all the same slides that were in the video because hopefully you've all had a chance to watch the video, but I am going to go through some of them just to reiterate where we are and what we're doing. So I've got a nice split screen for you, left-hand side slides, right-hand side Raildays app. That's the app streaming from my phone. It does actually move around, and so hopefully we can have a look at things as we go along. So where are we with the slides? It's all new. I don't know how it works. Right, here we are. So just to recap then, 2 reasons why we made the Raildays app. One, which isn't in the app yet, but will be shortly, is to provide better access to HOPS across a better range of devices, and also to provide some cross-railway functions for those of you that work on more than one railway, or your users who work on more than one railway. For example, there's going to be cross-railway My Roster, cross-railway notifications, that sort of thing. And the second reason, which is what we have done them in the wrong order, is public heritage railway information. And as you can see, there's loads of heritage railways on the map already populated, which is absolutely brilliant. So I'll just whiz through these slides quickly. Here's some screenshots. Obviously, you can see the screenshot on the right-hand side as well. You can browse the list of railways by map, and you can zoom in. If I zoom in a little bit, you'll see the map's colour coordinated, the different coloured dots. The red dots represent standard gauge heritage railways. Orange represents narrow gauge, yellow represents miniature, and green and blue are museums and tramways. So that's what the colour of the dot is. Clicking on any dot will show you more information about that particular railway related venue. Or you can browse them by list. If I click on list, and it sorts them in the order of the one that's nearest to you first. So I live very close to the South Devon Railway, that's why that one's top of the list for me. But when you look at the app, you will find that it's ordered in the ones nearest to you. Oh, incidentally, the app is now actually live in the App Store for iPhones and in the Google Play Store for Android phones. So do feel free to download it, have a little look. We'll obviously have a more public, high-profile launch in the next week or two. Right, okay, moving on. Timetables are also visible in the app for railways that have populated them. If I have a look at, for example, the Epping-Ongar Railway, scroll down a little bit to view timetables. Whoops. Here's the Epping-Ongar Railway's timetable for the next couple of months. And we'll have a look in a moment, and we'll see some of the tricks and things that can be done with regards to populating timetables. It's not necessary to sit there and manually program in each individual day of HOPS. Of course, HOPS already knows quite a lot about what particular trains are running on which particular days, and it's just a case of formatting that to go into the app. There is also a list of events, and events is obtained by clicking on the little star in the bottom right hand corner, the events menu, and on a month-by-month basis it will scroll through events that are going on. We'll talk in a second about the difference between events and timetables and experiences and all that sort of thing, and it's never going to be a 100% black and white line, but I'll tell you the principles, and then to a certain extent you can decide whether you believe that the activity that you're putting on is an activity or is an event or an experience, and I might agree with you or I might disagree with you, of course. So let's move on now to talking about public timetables, get into the nub of some of the questions that have been raised over the last week or so. As I said, don't forget, ask questions in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer them. Otherwise, this is going to be over in about 15 minutes, but perhaps that's maybe not such a bad thing. Right, so to clear up any confusion about timetables in the app, here's how it works. If we look at the left-hand flowchart, there's 3 base timetable boxes there, and of course the base timetables are what's already in HOPS, the working timetables that you already have. You separately, in the Raildays section of HOPS, create a list of public timetables, and for each base timetable you get to decide what is the equivalent public timetable. And you can have more than one base timetable pointing to the same public timetable. So as an example, in the right hand drawing, working timetable A1 and A2, as far as the public are concerned, they're both the red timetable. And it's just an internal difference in the base timetables that obviously needs to be maintained in HOPS so that staff can be rostered in the right places and things. But as far as the public are concerned, and as far as Raildays is concerned, they're both the red timetable. And timetable B is the blue timetable. And because HOPS already knows what days timetable A1, A2 and B operate, and if you tell it that A1 and A2 are the red timetable and B is the blue timetable, then the calendar will appear in Raildays straight away, because of course HOPS already knows which days timetable A1, A2 and B are operating. So here's a slightly expanded example. The first 5 days of March in our operating calendar in HOPS, we've already pointed each of those to a working timetable, to a base timetable in HOPS. That's been there for years. That's nothing new. The new bit that you're putting in is the bit that's shown in red, the red arrows that point a base timetable to a public timetable. Now, just in case you have any exceptions where a day is not going to follow the normal sort of flow in this way, it is possible to just hard put a timetable onto a date. You can override it on the date in the calendar so that it ignores going through the base timetable to get to the public timetable, and it just does what you tell it on that particular day. You can also set it to no timetable at all if you want to. So there you can see on the 2nd of March, even though it's a working timetable A2, I've forced it to a blue public timetable rather than a red one. And that's in the calendar section of HOPS. I realise now, as I'm starting to explain this, it would have been helpful for me to have my normal HOPS window open, but I'm afraid I haven't got it for you today. But I'm sure you all know how to edit the operating calendar to put a specific timetable on a specific day, or to make it show no timetable. Other than that, it will just follow what the normal public timetable is for the working timetable that applies on that day. Right, some words about events and experiences. Now, first of all, as is explained in HOPS, in HOPS's utopia of what an event and what an experience is, the general rule is if the public are expected to book at a specific time and follow a specific plan of what you want them to do, then it's an experience. If they're going on a fish and chip train that leaves at 7 o'clock, and they have no other choice but to get on that one at 7 o'clock if they want to get their fish and chips, then it's an experience. If it's a thing where there's an activity on all day and the public can turn up at whatever time they want and meander around and do all the different things in the different orders that they want, then it's an event. Now, as I said, there's not going to be a clear distinction. There's going to be some grey area here. For example, especially over the last year or so, a lot of events that would normally have been events and allow people to wander around as they like have become what Raildays would call an experience, where you've had to turn up at a specific day for your days out with Thomas or your steam gala or diesel gala and go on specific trains that have been planned out for you, and the locos sort of come to you rather than you going to them. So I do understand that there's going to be some overlap. You put it as what you want, and if I disagree with you, I'll change it, or we can have a discussion. But that's the general rule. Now, some things have caused a bit of confusion, so I'll go through some of these examples. Some of them are real and some of them are made up just to make the point. Cream tea and fish and chips as one experience. Now, that's fine if you're booking, or if you're a member of the public booking one thing, that you turn up at 12 o'clock, you go out on the 10 past 12, you have your cream tea, you then go for a walk around whatever the town is, and you get back on the train at 4 o'clock and you have your fish and chips on the way back. If that's all one thing that you book, then that's one experience. That's absolutely fine. But if it's two separate things, if you're running a cream tea train, and you can book on the cream tea train if you want, and separately you're running a fish and chip train, and you can book on the fish and chip train if you want, and if you've really got lots of money, you can book on both, or one, or the other, or neither, then that's two separate things. Just because they run on the same day doesn't mean they have to be the same experience in the database. Put them in as two separate experiences. They'll show up as two separate lines with two separate header images. You get double the exposure, and viewers will understand that they're looking at two separate things. Whereas if it's cream tea and fish and chips, then the expectation is that's all one event. You buy one ticket and you get your cream tea and your fish and chips. If anyone wants a cream tea and a fish and chips, the West Somerset Railway are doing a cream tea and fish and chips experience. Steam Gala and behind the scenes. So this is a slightly different one. Steam Gala and behind the scenes. Now, if we're putting on a Steam Gala and it includes an element of behind the scenes, you buy your one ticket for the Steam Gala and then you're allowed also to go behind the scenes, that's all one event. So put it in as one event. If, on the other hand, you can buy a ticket for the Steam Gala, very nice, and separately we also happen to be running a behind-the-scenes experience, but you don't have to take part in the Steam Gala to go behind the scenes, and you don't have to go behind the scenes on the Steam Gala, two separate events. I'm sure you get the hang of it now. Fish and chips and real ale train, same applies. If it's two separate trains and you can book one or the other, two separate things. If it's all one and you get fish and chips and real ale all in the same ticket, then it's all one thing. And just to be silly, the Thomas and Friends and Gin Train, obviously that's not going to go down very well to readers of the app. If you put all that in as one event and they think they're going to take their children to visit Thomas and his friends and have gin on the train, clearly that needs to be two separate events. So that's the general rule, but as with everything, there's always going to be some grey area in between. Just while we're on the subject of events, I don't think I've got a slide for this. It is completely possible for you to need to have a duplicate, a timetable and an event of the same thing. If you need it to show on the calendar, it's got to be a timetable. If you want it to show in the list of events, it's got to be an event. So Steam Gala, the chances are we want that to show in the timetable calendar and we want it to show in the list of events, so you'll have to put it in twice. Right, okay, on we go. So we're on to the questions now. These are all questions that have been asked of me in the last week. And incidentally, thank you so much for all the questions and feedback and comments that you've given me in the last week. There's already changes that have taken place to both the app and the interface in HOPS as a result of the feedback that you've given. So thank you very much for that. You are shaping the future here. And there's also a mountain of changes that are already lined up for the next two phases of the Raildays app. We've had the first two phases, phase 1 and phase 2. Brilliantly, the next phase is phase 4, and then we have phase 3. Phase 4 is user interface improvements as a result of the feedback that you've given. Phase 3, which comes fourth, is integration with HOPS, and you can expect these all to happen within the next 4 weeks or so. So questions that have been asked that I thought might be useful to everyone. How do I have two timetables on one day? We run a heritage bus service, which is a registered bus, which as a registered bus service runs to a set timetable regardless of any event. I need to think how we show a bus timetable for an event without a train timetable, as it would no doubt cause confusion. But the bus timetable is so large that it would drown out the timetable on a standard day. In other words, the bus timetable would be bigger than the train part. So I've started off with a really difficult question, I'm afraid. On one hand, we have to accept that there are going to be limitations to how much we can show in the app. On the other hand, there is a rule that you can only have one timetable on each day, because we can only show one colour on each day. Yes, we're moving towards having different decoration, and some of you in fact found while I was developing it that you can put a circle around a day and things like that, and that will all come, but for the moment I'm afraid you can only put one timetable on each day. So when it comes to uploading the image of your timetable, because I didn't spot that earlier, or I didn't point that out earlier, but let's remember that as well as being able to say it's a red timetable day, where's view timetables, here it is, if we click on the day it will show us the public timetable, as long as you've uploaded what the image is of the public timetable. I know there are some issues to do with the zooming and panning of timetable images. They're already in the pipeline to be sorted out, so don't be too alarmed about those. So if we really want to be able to show our heritage bus service timetable and our railway timetable, I'm afraid you're going to have to stitch them together as one image and upload them all as one, and then just let the public look at them. That's the best I can do for you at the moment. But you never know what might happen in the future. But that's the answer, I'm afraid. You can only have one timetable on each day, but you can have numerous events and experiences on the same day. Right, is there a specific, if there is a specific timetable for a specific event, e.g. Diesel Gala, is it possible to link the timetable to the event? Or do I need to upload the timetable to the base timetable and then go to the date on the operating calendar and tick the event? What would be good is if the system knew that the Diesel Gala timetable was the Diesel Gala event. Yes, it would. And that became apparent pretty quickly after we released the app, but unfortunately at the moment, no, you can't. So you will have to upload a separate, a public timetable called Diesel Gala with a picture of the timetable in it, and an event called Diesel Gala. And at the moment, you can't put the timetable on the event as well as on the day. But as I say, it became apparent pretty quickly after we launched that that would be a necessary thing. So it's in the pipeline for the future, and we will do it ASAP. It's not necessary for you to create a new base timetable for anything to do with Raildays. So if the timetable or the event or whatever it is that you want to show in Raildays is not already sort of catered for in what you've got in your base timetables in HOPS, that's absolutely fine. You can still create it as a public timetable in Raildays, and then just do the trick where you go onto the specific day and put the timetable on the specific day. You don't have to make a new base timetable unless you particularly want to. And hopefully that's pretty true for most of the things in Raildays, that it should take the operational information where it's appropriate, but not require you to fudge the operational information just to get Raildays to work. That shouldn't be happening. Right, let's move on with that. Please can you show how organisations without the full functionality of HOPS make the best entries to avoid confusing the user of the app? Really easy to answer this one. It's no different at all. There's no difference between what a basic or advanced HOPS member sees in the Raildays editing components of HOPS or what comes up in the app. So it's really easy to answer that one. There's no distinction at all. You can put as much information as you like in Raildays regardless of what access in HOPS you've got. For events or experiences where we don't yet have a timetable, how do we cope with these since there won't be a timetable image? What happens on the operating calendar if there is no image? Well, don't forget, we're not talking about the operating calendar here. That's not in HOPS. Sorry, that's not in Raildays. It is in HOPS. But to change the question slightly to what happens in Raildays, the embarrassing thing is it shows a broken image icon. But that will be fixed extremely soon, that we'll come up with a better way of indicating that there is no timetable yet available. And in fact, what's going to happen is exactly on the page that we're just on, underneath the calendar is going to be a summary of what the colours mean, because at the moment there's nothing to tell the users actually what the colours mean. Red timetable, pink timetable, etc. And that will also be clickable. So it will be much easier for us to sort of show a timetable image where there's one available, but not make it look broken where there isn't one. So that's the answer to that. Our children's events are generally to set times, so more akin to an experience than an event, i.e. you can book at 9:45, 11:45, etc. How would we show this on the timetable? We don't normally advertise detailed train times, as the character appearances happen first and then they get on the train ride, but we want to be flexible with the latter depending on how long it takes to get through the character bit. We do have a working timetable, not shown to the public, but it also means if we run late that nobody knows and they can't complain. So I would say in this case, just don't upload the timetable. The answer to the previous question applies, which is that for a very small number of days from now, it'll show a broken image if somebody tries to click on it, but that will be sorted out very soon and long before the full public launch. And then if you do subsequently get a timetable, or if it's something that you want to upload, maybe just even the times that you can book for rather than the actual train times later, then you can do that later. Right, last one. The event choices include Peppa Pig. We also have Paw Patrol and the Gruffalo. I'm not necessarily asking for options for each of these, as it could be an endless list if we did, but why specifically Peppa Pig with others having to show as children's events? Well, this is a very good question, and the only reason that Peppa Pig appeared in there is because I used what all railways had already written in free text in their operating calendar, as inspiration for what the events would be. And Peppa Pig was in there, so it got into the list, but you're absolutely right that Peppa Pig is no more important than Postman Pat or Fireman Sam or Paw Patrol or any of these other ones. So Peppa Pig is now gone, and you just put it in as a children's event. The only ones that have remained, because I think they're a little bit extra special, are Friends of Thomas, Santa, those sorts of things. But all the sort of edge case cartoons like Fireman Sam and Postman Pat, they all now just go in as children's events. Right, well, that's the end of the questions that I had, and you're all being very, very quiet in the comments, so now's your last chance. Otherwise, this is going to be a very short, punchy, sweet HOPS workshop, which, as I say, is possibly not the worst thing in the world. The app is available now in the App Store for iPhone and in the Google Play Store for Android phones. So do download it. Feel free to tell other people about it as well. As I say, we will have a more formal public launch in a week or two. I want to give everybody plenty of opportunity to put information into the app and make sure that it's as square as you want it to be before we publicise it too widely. So thank you very much for tuning in, and thank you very much for putting all these wonderful railways into the system. Thank you very much to everybody who has taken a part in the development of Raildays, in giving feedback both during the development process and after it's been launched into testing. As I said earlier, there will be Raildays Phase 4 and then Phase 3 coming up soon, which include things like we were just talking about with the timetable amendments and then subsequently integration with HOPS. Oh wow, some questions have come through. Well done, you're doing very well. So Tom says, we don't have a timetable, just when trains are running between, and have put up a picture saying that. Yep, absolutely perfect. So if you're not aware, Tom's from a miniature railway, so I imagine even though you might not have red timetable, blue timetable, you'll at the very least have open day and non-open day. In fact, let's go back a slide and let's, Tom, tell me where in the country the Etchells Wood Railway is, because embarrassingly, I'm afraid, I don't know. But we can look through. I imagine it's quite far away from where I am in the West Country. Let's see what we can find. All the images load lazily, so it only loads when you actually look at them. Romsey, Gwilly, Eastleigh. Search facility, that's one of the things that's coming in a future phase of this app. Where are we? Got to get there eventually. Let's see what Tom's uploaded. Chorus. Oh my goodness, have I gone past it? I'm getting quite far away from the West Country now, from where I live. Could be here all day. Aha! Etchells Wood. Right, Tom, let's see what you've got. So, more details. 170 miles away from where I am. In case you hadn't worked it out, if you click on that 170 miles away thing, I wonder if it will work while I'm screencasting. Yep, it opens Google. Oh dear, I don't know how. And takes you to the Google Map app. My phone's not really set up for this. There we go, and it takes you to exactly where the event is. Oh dear, I can't get back to Raildays now. There we go, done. Of course, if I click on the website, I'll get the website. If I click on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, oh, why are you not? Oh, there we are. Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, I'll get those. And if the user has those apps on their phone, it'll open in the app rather than in a web browser. So let's view Tom's timetables. View timetables. Excellent. Open days. And, school holiday timetable, first train and last train. Perfect. Because that's, I think, exactly what a casual visitor is going to want to see. And this is the target audience for this app: enthusiasts, casual visitors, people who might have downloaded the National Trust app because they like going to National Trust properties and they look at what properties are near them. This is for the equivalent of people who have anything from a passing interest to a really serious interest to just somewhere they like to take the grandchildren, and their interest is in heritage railways. So yeah, well done, Tom. That's exactly the name of the game. Right, there was another question here, and it's from Alistair. So this is Alistair from Bressingham. Will you be able to link to the timetable or event to a ticket booking link? Yes, we will. We have some very exciting ticket booking developments in the pipeline, and that's definitely passive provision has been made for that in the app. So you can expect to see that in the future. Tom has asked another question. Excellent, Tom. You're doing very well. On our standard gauge weekend, I just can't get the HOP side of it to say which day I have selected, and I can't figure out how to put in when it's no different to any other event I've put on. Okay, I do wish that I'd got my HOPS window up to show you, but I'm afraid I haven't. So all you have to do once you've created your special event is go on to the operating calendar, onto the day that it applies, click edit, your list of events will be there, and you just tick the appropriate one that it is. Oh, something else that I've just thought of is an event will only appear if it's got a short description and a long description and a header image, and I think that's it, and at least some dates. So if you believe that you've done all those things, Tom, then send me an email and I'll have a look into it. I have, in the last week or so, put what I hope is more helpful tips on the editing page with green ticks and red crosses, so that you can see whether whether a particular attribute of your event or experience is not ready to go onto the app yet. So thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you for taking part in Raildays. I hope that it's useful to you. Thank you so much for all the wonderful feedback that you've given. Particularly thank you to Bressingham, who have arranged that, if you didn't catch it at the beginning, if you've got a HOPS ID card, you can visit Bressingham for free this year, or I'm sure probably not on Santa. Usual sort of caveats apply. Thank you very much to Bressingham for doing that, as a thank you to HOPS for producing the Raildays app. So that's it from me. Thank you very much to everyone for tuning in. I'll see you at the next HOPS Live workshop, which I think is in about 2 weeks' time. keep putting things into Raildays and keep giving me feedback and questions, and it's all really useful. And thank you very much. I'll see you all again soon. Good night. I wondered how many of you would stay to the end to listen to the music. Love your railway, people.